The recent exchange between Chief Justice John Roberts and Representative Jasmine Crockett has sparked intense discussion across political and legal circles, centering on a sharp and highly publicized debate that touched on intellect, judicial authority, and the boundaries of political discourse. This encounter, marked by pointed remarks and a palpable tension, unfolded against the backdrop of broader national conversations about the role of the judiciary in political matters and the standards of dialogue between branches of government. What began as a seemingly routine discussion quickly escalated into a verbal duel, with each side defending their stance and subtly challenging the other's reasoning, tone, and credibility. The incident not only revealed contrasting perspectives on law and governance but also became a vivid example of how personal perception and public image can shape the reception of political debates in today's media-driven climate. It is a moment that invites deeper analysis of leadership styles, the weight of words in high-profile exchanges, and the complex interplay between intellect, respect, and authority in the American political arena. The significance of respectful discourse between judicial and legislative leaders cannot be overstated, as it forms a cornerstone of democratic governance and the healthy functioning of a constitutional system. In a nation where the separation of powers is designed to maintain balance and prevent any one branch from dominating, the way leaders from different branches communicate with one another becomes both a symbolic and practical reflection of that balance. Respectful discourse does not imply the absence of disagreement. On the contrary, it allows for robust debates and differences of opinion while ensuring that the underlying fabric of mutual recognition and institutional respect remains intact. When a judicial leader like the Chief Justice and a legislative figure such as a member of Congress engage in dialogue, they are not just speaking to one another but also to the public, the media, and future generations of lawmakers and judges. Their words set precedents not only in legal or policy terms but also in cultural expectations of how leaders should conduct themselves when representing their institutions. Disrespect or inflammatory exchanges risk undermining the credibility of both parties, fueling partisan divides, and eroding trust in the very institutions they serve. Respectful communication, on the other hand, signals maturity, confidence, and a commitment to the public good, even when disagreements are fierce. The importance of this principle becomes especially apparent in times of heightened political polarization. When tensions are high, and partisanship influences public opinion more than ever, the temptation to score points or deliver cutting remarks can be strong. Yet leaders who resist that impulse and choose civility over hostility demonstrate a deeper understanding of their responsibilities. Judicial and legislative leaders operate under different mandates and answer to different constituencies, but both play vital roles in upholding the rule of law. For the judiciary, this often means interpreting the law impartially and guarding against political influence, while for the legislature, it means crafting laws that reflect the will of the people and respond to societal needs. When these two perspectives clash, as they inevitably will, the method of engagement can either bridge understanding or deepen divides. By maintaining respectful discourse, both sides acknowledge the legitimacy of the other's role, even while challenging specific viewpoints or actions. The way such exchanges are framed also matters greatly. Tone, choice of words, and body language can either escalate a disagreement into a personal feud or channel it into a constructive debate. A pointed question delivered with courtesy invites dialogue, while one delivered with sarcasm or condescension invites defensiveness. Similarly, a judicial leader's refusal to engage in personal attacks, even in the face of provocation, can serve as a model for restraint and professionalism. This dynamic plays out not just in formal hearings or meetings but in press conferences, interviews, and even social media interactions. The public consumes these moments instantly, and interpretations can spread widely, influencing how institutions are perceived for years to come. A moment of dignity under pressure can elevate the stature of a leader, while an undignified retort can overshadow years of service. Respectful discourse between judicial and legislative leaders also has a practical dimension beyond symbolism. When communication is rooted in respect, it is easier to find common ground or at least mutual understanding. This does not mean compromising principles but recognizing that effective governance requires a degree of cooperation and dialogue between branches. In the absence of respect, communication tends to break down, and mistrust grows. Once mistrust takes root, even small policy disagreements can snowball into major standoffs, delaying critical decisions and leaving pressing issues unresolved. The public pays the price when leaders cannot work together, as gridlock or judicial legislative conflicts can slow down reforms, block necessary legislation, or delay the resolution of important legal questions. Moreover, respectful engagement sets the tone for lower-ranking officials and the broader public. If the most senior figures in government model civility, it sends a powerful signal that disagreement can coexist with dignity. This modeling effect is crucial because it influences political culture at every level, from local councils to national debates. In contrast, when senior figures engage in public feuds marked by disrespect, it can legitimize hostility and incivility in other arenas. This can create a cascading effect where the very idea of reasoned debate is replaced by a culture of one-upmanship, personal insults, and partisan entrenchment. From a historical perspective, some of the most important political dialogues have occurred in moments of profound disagreement, yet were conducted with mutual respect. Figures from different branches have, at times, been ideological opponents yet maintained personal relationships that allowed for productive exchanges. These moments remind us that civility does not require uniformity of thought, it simply requires recognizing the humanity and legitimacy of those across the table. In a country founded on principles of debate and deliberation, losing this respect is not just a matter of poor etiquette, it strikes at the heart of the democratic experiment. Furthermore, in the modern era of instant media coverage, respectful discourse takes on an even greater significance. Leaders are not only accountable to their immediate audience but also to millions who watch, read, or hear about their words later. A respectful tone can help focus the public's attention on the substance of an argument rather than the drama of the exchange. When discourse devolves into personal attacks, the actual issues often get lost in the noise, replaced by viral clips that fuel outrage but do little to inform. In this sense, leaders have a dual responsibility: to advocate for their position and to preserve the integrity of the dialogue itself. Respectful communication also plays a critical role in maintaining the balance of power envisioned by the Constitution. Each branch has its own sphere of authority, and open hostility can lead to attempts to undermine or encroach on another branch's prerogatives. Mutual respect acts as a safeguard against such overreach, reinforcing the boundaries while allowing for healthy checks and balances. When leaders demonstrate that they can question each other's decisions without questioning each other's right to exist in their respective roles, they strengthen the resilience of the system as a whole. Even in high-pressure situations where stakes are immense and emotions run high, maintaining respect can prevent conflicts from escalating beyond repair. It allows leaders to return to the table for future discussions without lingering bitterness. The ability to engage in spirited debate one day and work together the next is essential in a system where cooperation is often necessary to achieve meaningful progress. While this is easier said than done, it is precisely this challenge that makes respectful discourse such an important quality in leadership. It requires self-control, empathy, and a long-term vision that values the health of institutions over short-term personal victories. The influence of public perception on high-profile political debates is an undeniable force that shapes not only the careers of those involved but also the trajectory of the issues under discussion. In a world where information travels faster than ever, the way a debate is perceived by the public often matters as much as, if not more than, the substance of the debate itself. Public perception is shaped by a complex interplay of media coverage, personal biases, societal values, and the emotional resonance of the exchange. In high-profile situations involving figures like a chief justice or a prominent legislator, the stakes are amplified because these moments are viewed through the lens of institutional credibility and the individual's ability to represent their respective offices. A single exchange can either enhance a leader's reputation as competent, principled, and articulate or damage it by casting doubt on their composure, reasoning, or intentions. Media framing plays a central role in influencing how the public interprets these debates. News outlets, talk shows, and online platforms often distill lengthy exchanges into short clips or headlines, emphasizing moments that are most likely to provoke a reaction. This tendency to focus on the dramatic or confrontational aspects can distort the fuller context, leading audiences to form opinions based on partial or emotionally charged information. In the case of a heated interaction between high-ranking figures, a sharp retort or pointed question might overshadow the underlying legal or policy issues at stake. Viewers who see only these snippets may perceive the encounter as a personal battle rather than a substantive debate about governance, thus shifting attention from ideas to personalities. Public perception is also shaped by existing political and ideological leanings. Supporters of one figure may interpret their remarks as evidence of strength, courage, and clarity, while opponents might view the same comments as rude, condescending, or unfounded. This phenomenon, known as confirmation bias, ensures that the same event can be interpreted in vastly different ways depending on the audience's pre-existing beliefs. For political leaders, this creates a constant balancing act, speaking forcefully enough to energize their base without alienating the broader public whose trust is essential for long-term influence. A statement that plays well to one demographic can backfire with another, and in an age of rapid information sharing, the line between rallying supporters and provoking backlash is exceedingly thin. The visual and emotional elements of public perception cannot be overlooked. Body language, facial expressions, tone of voice, and even attire contribute to the impression that audiences take away from a debate. A leader who appears calm and composed under pressure can project confidence and authority, while visible frustration or defensiveness can signal weakness or lack of preparation. These cues often register with viewers subconsciously, influencing their judgments before they have fully processed the content of the exchange. High-profile debates are thus not only contests of ideas but also performances in which the demeanor of the participants plays a crucial role in shaping public opinion. Social media has added another layer of complexity to how public perception is formed and amplified. Platforms like X, formerly Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram enable real-time commentary and the rapid spread of selective clips, memes, and quotes. A single moment in a debate can be repackaged into dozens of different narratives, each tailored to resonate with a specific audience. While this democratization of commentary allows for diverse perspectives, it also means that misinformation, exaggeration, and out-of-context interpretations can gain traction quickly. Leaders must therefore be acutely aware that their words and actions are subject to immediate and often relentless scrutiny from both traditional media and online communities. Public perception can influence not only how a debate is remembered but also how it affects future political or judicial actions. If one party is widely seen as having won the exchange, they may gain leverage in shaping public policy or judicial interpretation. Conversely, a perception of poor performance or inappropriate conduct can weaken a leader's authority, making it harder to rally support for their initiatives. This dynamic creates an incentive for participants to manage their images carefully as they manage their arguments, ensuring that their delivery aligns with the narrative they want to project. In high-profile settings, preparation involves not just mastering the facts but anticipating how every aspect of one's behavior might be received by different segments of the public. The durability of public perception is another important factor. While some debates fade quickly from memory, others become defining moments that follow a leader for years. An ill-chosen phrase or a particularly striking exchange can become part of the public's collective memory, repeated in news retrospectives, campaign ads, or political commentary long after the original event. For this reason, leaders must approach high-profile debates with an understanding that they are not only speaking to the immediate audience but also creating a historical record that may be revisited in future political battles. Public perception is also influenced by the perceived fairness of the exchange. Audiences tend to respond more favorably to debates that seem balanced, where each party has an opportunity to present their arguments without interruption or undue hostility. If one side appears to dominate through aggression rather than reasoning, it can create sympathy for the other, even if the aggressive party's points are stronger on paper. Conversely, excessive passivity can be interpreted as weakness or an inability to defend one's position effectively. Striking the right balance between assertiveness and respect is therefore crucial to managing how a debate is received. The emotional resonance of the debate can at times overshadow all other factors. People often remember how a moment made them feel more vividly than they recall the specific details of what was said. A powerful appeal to shared values, a display of empathy, or a moment of humor can leave a lasting positive impression, while visible disdain, impatience, or anger can create lasting negative associations. Skilled debaters understand the importance of connecting with their audience on an emotional level, ensuring that their message is not only heard but felt. The broader political environment at the time of the debate can also shape public perception. In times of crisis or uncertainty, the public may place a higher premium on displays of unity, stability, and competence. In more stable or prosperous times, there may be greater tolerance for sharp exchanges and ideological sparring. Leaders must gauge the mood of the nation and adapt their approach accordingly, recognizing that the same rhetorical strategy can be perceived very differently depending on the prevailing social and political climate. Ultimately, the influence of public perception on high-profile political debates reflects the intersection of substance, style, and context. The public is not a passive observer but an active participant in shaping the meaning and consequences of these events. Every gesture, inflection, and choice of words contributes to a complex mosaic of impressions that can elevate or diminish a leader in the eyes of the people. This makes public perception both a powerful tool and a formidable challenge, requiring constant attention to not only what is being said but how it is being experienced by the nation at large. The role of intellect and credibility in shaping political narratives is central to how leaders are perceived and how their messages resonate with the public. In the arena of high-profile politics, where every statement is scrutinized and every decision analyzed, intellect serves as both a foundation for sound reasoning and a measure of a leader's ability to navigate complex issues. Credibility, on the other hand, is the currency that determines whether that intellect is trusted by the audience. Together, these two qualities can define the trajectory of a political figure's influence, determining whether their narrative is embraced, questioned, or dismissed. A leader may possess exceptional intellect, but without credibility, their arguments may be perceived as manipulative or self-serving. Conversely, credibility without visible intellectual engagement can create an image of sincerity but not capability, limiting the leader's ability to drive substantial change. Intellect in politics is not merely about having knowledge of laws, policies, or historical facts. It encompasses the ability to synthesize information from various sources, anticipate the consequences of decisions, and articulate complex ideas in ways that are accessible to diverse audiences. Leaders who can demonstrate a deep understanding of the issues at hand are often better positioned to frame debates on their own terms, guiding public opinion toward their preferred outcomes. This intellectual command enables them to identify weaknesses in opposing arguments, propose viable alternatives, and adapt their strategies when faced with new challenges. In high-stakes interactions between figures from different branches of government, intellect is often revealed through the precision of language, the depth of analysis, and the capacity to remain composed under pressure. Credibility, however, is built over time and through consistent alignment between words and actions. It requires a track record of integrity, reliability, and fairness, qualities that are especially important when leaders from different political or institutional backgrounds engage in public discourse. A leader may present an intellectually sound argument, but if their history suggests opportunism, dishonesty, or partisanship, the public may view their statements with suspicion. Conversely, leaders who have cultivated a reputation for honesty and principled conduct can often withstand moments of intellectual vulnerability because their credibility provides a cushion of trust. This trust allows audiences to give them the benefit of the doubt, focusing on the substance of their ideas rather than questioning their motives. The interplay between intellect and credibility becomes particularly significant in shaping political narratives because the public often evaluates arguments through the lens of the speaker's character and competence. In debates, hearings, or public statements, a leader with both qualities can shift the conversation from reactive exchanges to proactive framing. For example, by articulating a well-reasoned position supported by credible evidence and delivered by someone whose integrity is recognized, a leader can establish themselves as a primary source of truth in the eyes of the public. This positioning is crucial in an era where competing narratives can proliferate rapidly through traditional and digital media. Once a leader secures this role, their framing of events can influence how they are reported, discussed, and remembered. Intellect also shapes political narratives by determining how effectively leaders can counter misinformation or misrepresentation. In the face of challenges to their authority or interpretation of events, leaders who possess a firm intellectual grounding can dissect flawed arguments, clarify misunderstandings, and present evidence in a compelling manner. This intellectual resilience not only defends their position but also reinforces their credibility, showing the public that they can withstand scrutiny and remain steadfast in their reasoning. In contrast, leaders who respond with vague or poorly supported claims risk undermining their own narrative, allowing opponents to seize control of the conversation. Credibility amplifies the impact of intellect by making the audience more receptive to complex or nuanced arguments. When people trust the source, they are more willing to engage with information that challenges their assumptions or requires careful consideration. This is especially important in democratic systems, where leaders must persuade rather than command. Credibility fosters an environment where dialogue can occur without immediate dismissal, enabling leaders to introduce new perspectives, propose reforms, or address controversial topics with a greater chance of public acceptance. The role of these qualities is magnified in high-profile confrontations between leaders from different branches of government, such as a chief justice and a legislator. In such scenarios, the public is not only evaluating the specific arguments but also making judgments about which institution, and by extension, which values, should guide the resolution of the conflict. A leader who demonstrates both intellectual mastery and credibility can project the authority of their office while also appealing to broader democratic principles. This dual appeal can strengthen their narrative by presenting them as both a capable decision maker and a trustworthy steward of the public interest. In addition to influencing how narratives are shaped in the moment, intellect and credibility also affect the longevity of those narratives. Political events are often remembered through the lens of key moments or soundbites, but the deeper impressions that endure over time are shaped by the perceived character and capability of the individuals involved. A leader known for intellectual rigor and honesty may see their narrative preserved favorably in historical accounts, while those lacking in one or both qualities may find their contributions minimized or criticized. This long-term impact underscores the importance of cultivating these traits consistently, not just in moments of public visibility. The development of political narratives also depends on how intellect and credibility interact with media coverage. Journalists and commentators often look for authoritative voices to interpret events, and leaders who embody these qualities are more likely to be quoted, analyzed, and used as reference points in ongoing discussions. This media amplification can further entrench their version of events in the public consciousness, creating a feedback loop where their credibility attracts coverage, and the coverage reinforces their credibility. Intellect and credibility also serve as defensive tools against political attacks. In the competitive and often adversarial world of politics, leaders are frequently subjected to criticism, whether fair or unfounded. A leader with strong intellectual capacity can dismantle false accusations with logic and evidence, while credibility ensures that their rebuttals are taken seriously by the public. This combination can prevent opponents from successfully redefining the leader's image or narrative, allowing them to maintain control over how they are perceived. Another important aspect is the ability of intellect and credibility to inspire others, both within and outside of government. When leaders exhibit these traits, they set a standard for their colleagues, subordinates, and even political adversaries. This inspiration can lead to higher quality debates, more substantive policymaking, and a culture of accountability that benefits the political system as a whole. In this way, the influence of intellect and credibility extends beyond individual narratives to shape the overall tone and quality of public discourse. The relationship between these qualities and public perception is dynamic, with each reinforcing the other when managed effectively. Intellect can draw attention, but credibility sustains it. Credibility can open doors, but intellect determines what is done once those doors are open. In the crafting of political narratives, this synergy allows leaders to not only respond to events but to define them, ensuring that their perspective becomes the lens through which others interpret the political landscape.